say that because they always call me the lady from the north, or Annie Oakley, whatever they, you know. So the southern gentlemen approach me and say, why should you raise all this money off of us and not take care of our parks too? We want you to put it into the fund where our parks can be taken care of too. And that's what I find. You have
But
the
that's not what
concept.
happens.
I know you have the concept of Chicago in
It's
this,
the truth.
and I understand. But take Chicago out of this right now. Take it out and
How
just.
do you do that?
Well, I know, but I gotta
I'm
think
telling
this
you,
way.
'cause
I
it's
gotta
always,
think
it's
this
always
way.
been that's always been the rotten apple.
Well, they
in
have
the-
their
in the-
own
in
park
the
system
case,
too.
you know?
They have their own park system too. And I can honestly tell you, sitting down in my seat and watching what goes to Chicago makes you sick. But I still try to fight for what we need up here. And I've ignored Chris for about 5 minutes now. He's gonna
You
get
better
mad
talk
at
to
me.
him, 'cause he's
So-
gonna get after all of this.
So Chris, I
Oh,
apologize.
that's okay, I just wanted to make sure I got in there before you had to go. I got a question and then followed by a comment. Somewhere I read that there was proposed $8 million gonna be raised by this?
Yes,
statewide?
and that's what they estimate, yes.
Okay. And I guess I lied, 2 questions. How much of that is proposed to coming back to Illinois Beach State Park?
I
In
can't
other words-
answer that question. I don't know. I
They-
can find
they-
out for you,
see,
I
that's
can
the- They
ask.
need to answer it.
I can ask, but I've never brought the question forward.
Okay, because there needs to be some idea what the budget is going to be
Really?
at this park.
Mhm.
As a business person, you can understand.
Well,
what,
they
you
all
know-
submit budgets. I
I
can get
get-
copies
no,
of it.
I-
I just never asked for it. I apologize.
No, and that's okay. I have to preface this by saying that JoAnn, you're gutsy, you came to this meeting, you dropped everything you were doing real quick, you're answering all our questions. I admire you for that. I agree that the DNR must be funded. I think the biggest thing that we disagree on is how we're gonna do this. You asked me earlier, what would I do if I was in your situation? You look at the park the way it is now. You've got the hotel in there. Is the state running that?
At least,
At least. Is you leased, you didn't own that, right? The state didn't run that, you leased that.
But
But
I was
I'm-
told,
hang on, hang on.
I wanted
Hang
to
on.
get that info.
Skipper Buds, is the state running that or did they lease that? Okay, so where's that money going?
That goes through the enterprise fund.
Okay,
We're in a back
all
to
right,
the state.
so there's money there. So they have already showed that they don't have a problem with leasing. Why don't we talk to somebody like a Nielsen Enterprises on 83? We've got a beach, we've got grounds where you wanna go look at the flowers and the birds, I get that. But we've got a recreational beach. I wonder how much money can be raised by leasing a particular beach to someone who can rent out jet skis and that kind of thing.
Man, I am opposed to this privatization junk in government. It belongs to the people.
You still have to be able to
You're
fund
entitled to your opinion, but it's already happened. The only other thing that that is being asked of you is more of your money if you wanna go visit this park. It's the worst, you got two devils to deal with. You get to decide which one you dislike more. But what I'm saying is I distrust this state to run this enterprise at the park. When somebody has to run this park, that has to run their business, they die or live by their profit. They don't come back to the state. I don't think Skipper Buds ever come back to the state and ask for more money or you or for any kind of funding. It's on their own. They live or
They
die
just
by what
invest
they do.
more and more on their own. They
And
have to. Their
what's
businesses.
happening is the state gets out of the business of running the park. It's no secret, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, I don't think the state should be in this business of running the parks. They're not doing a good job. Perhaps we give it over to Lake County Forest Preserve. They came to our rescue to salvage these trees. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think this government's ever gonna give up this land grab that they have here. My point is, if you can't salvage it, why are you running it? If you can't run it, give it to somebody who can run it.
well, and that's a point of discussion right now with the marina. I mean, yes, we've had 2 or 3 years where there's been some personality problems, and hopefully they have been resolved. And now they're talking. And there's pros and cons as to how this should take place. Should it be leased out? Some cases they would like to have it sold. I don't know that it's going to be sold. But what they're proposing through the village is to have someone come in and go back to the original plan and put a hotel there and make the hotel one that is natural friendly, or, you know, educate people that want to come and learn more about the dunes and the land. I'm for that 1,000% if we can get somebody, and there are people out there that want to come forth. We just have to chisel away at this brick wall that we have from their understanding that that could be beneficial.
But we as a group, as taxpayers, feel, and I'll just speak for myself, I shouldn't speak for anybody else, but I feel that the easy fix is always to pass another user fee or tax. I'm gonna tell you that it's my opinion that with the advent of Facebook and Twitter and social media, we now have a voice greater than ever before, and I think, not you necessarily in this case, because you've been a friend in this district for many, many, many years, but I think these people downstate have awoken a lot of sleeping dogs here.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're just not gonna say, okay, we'll use your fee or tax without any other kind of discussion. If that is the only result that we have, so be it. We can agree to that, but not without thoroughly examining every other
Chris,
option.
I apologize to everyone in this room that I do not have town hall meetings. I can honestly tell you, I have had town hall meetings where 4 people have shown up,
I believe it.
okay? So instead of doing the town hall meetings, I have gone out to the chambers, I have gone to the village boards, the city councils, and asked them what needs to be done. And every single time, jobs, 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 and also keep our marina and keep our beach the way it should be. And I've heard that over and over again. So that's why I took this on myself. And as a Republican woman, I'll say it one more time, this is not an easy bill. But I believe in my heart that this is probably the only thing left before closure. And I'm listening to you people today with your ideas. I'm going to take them all back to Mark Miller. And I'm going to also bring in, at the same time when I'm talking to Mark, I'm going to bring Senator Altoff over and bring her up to date as to what, you know, what we've talked about, and make sure she's on board.
Is the only jobs that you can create government jobs? See, because that makes me a little leery here too.
Why would you think that this is government jobs only? This is, if I can get this park to be, again, one of those destination points, if I can get that, the mom and pops along the way are all going to benefit from this. If you have a gas station, if you have a store, if you have a dress shop, maybe they're going to stop at your dress shop. I need to get the flow of traffic coming back in to the community.
If you charge for user fees, I don't
That's
think
not
these
gonna do
people are coming in droves. That's my point.
Especially
The
if
only
you don't
jobs
market
you're gonna
it.
create are government-laden DNR jobs that are gonna go around and pick up the bird poop.
Well, we disagree.
That's correct.
Are we still the
disagree.
most visited state park in the state? I know a few
No.
years ago we had
We
that.
used to be, we're not
Is that-
anymore.
that's
We've
dropped
lost
off.
that. Yeah, Star Broadway.
Why did we lose it?
Why do we lose it? Because of the condition. I think, anyway. Maybe you
Agreed.
can argue with me.
JoAnn,
Yes, sir.
you had introduced, I believe it was House Bill 2950 or 2905, or I don't have the
You're better at numbers
right.
than I am, yeah.
But it was where you worked with the Pontiac School and the Antioch School.
Oh, yeah.
Into
Oh,
something.
P2D2,
And it
okay.
looked like you put a tremendous amount of work in that.
We
Because I
did.
watched the video, and you put a tremendous amount of time in that as well, and I commend you for that. I think we'd like to have the same type of opportunity to get involved and to make our point, and to look at alternatives, and to look at suggestions. When Adeline was still alive, God rest her soul, we met at what was Rook's Restaurant at that time to discuss. We had a hotel complex that would come and build at Illinois, at the marina.
Mm-hmm.
We were told, at that time, they had Michigan Shores, if you recall, if that name rings a bell with anybody. It was a development group that was gonna come in and take care of the lodge and do all of the upgrades and development and so on for the state park system. It turned out to be something that was not funded, didn't have any investors or anything else, but the bottom line was, we were told we can't do anything to put a lodge or hotel or conference center at North Point Marina until Illinois Beach Resort Conference Center was doing better, because it would be killed because of the other facility coming online.
I've heard that before.
We've been told a million times, when Jim LaBelle was there, no, they didn't want to entertain it. They didn't want to finish the plan we originally started. They have a solid plan. It's a beautiful plan. I've seen it. I only question to see transparency and everything, and you know that in terms of who are the private investors that want to come in. We're not looking, I don't think they're looking for the state to give up anything. Again, they could be written to where they would be leasees or whatever, they could put up a beautiful conference facility. Now you've got more of a draw because they will market it to places. On April 20th, are you aware of an Earth Day meeting at the yacht club? Have you been invited yet to that?
No, but I'm in Springfield.
Okay, well, the problem is I think Mark Miller's is too, because they're bringing together people at the yacht club. I don't know if this is open for publication yet, but I was involved because they want me to videotape it. They might not now since I told you about it. It's to talk with all of these power brokers and people about the viability of lakeshore development, to include all the way to Chicago. Because there is an opportunity to be as good as Michigan, to be as good as Indiana. But we've got to market it. We've got to
Absolutely.
think. And a lot of it is there's only so much money that comes down the funnel. I think part of it is only just saying, we'd like to maybe talk about how you spend some of it. You know, I think that's really the thing. Invest it back into us.
I just want to make one comment. When I worked there, when I ran the concessionaire, I had more people come to the beach and say to me, they says, we didn't even know this was here. This is the best kept secret in Illinois. I says, you're right, it is. And I even use that in my advertising to try to get people to come in. Like he's saying, why isn't it on the on more advertised or more out in the open? It should be this tourism marketed better.
Right.
I think if you market it better, you'd see a better thing too.
And I'm gonna ask for
And
that. I was unaware that it wasn't listed,
But-
but I will ask for that.
Yeah, it should be listed free. I mean, anyway, do we have to pay to get on there?
No,
For
I got that. I
You know,
got that.
I'll shut up.
No, Sherry.
I had the weird chance of meeting Mark Miller Wednesday night and shared with him what was going on down here and asked him for the opportunity to have a dialogue like we're having now to be able to share that. The fee thing, it's a solution, but it's not the solution. I mean, it's not gonna fix the problem. It's like the schools, no matter how much you give them, money you give them, it's never enough and there's always greater need. You know, what I would hope is that we can begin to have these dialogues, and Mark said he would love to. He was a little skittish because of whatever happened before. He was like, if we could really have a dialogue, you know, and be on the same team, I would love to do that. But to be able to continue these conversations and really look at as a team instead of us versus them of how we can make this viable we would really appreciate your
And you know,
doing that.
since there is this interest, I'm thrilled to be able to have people that will be with me in the decision making. I
I'm
mean,
with you.
I mean, it is a hard thing and I welcome any one of you. If any one of you want to come down and spend a day with me, I am thrilled to have you. Sherry's been there. She knows it's a little crazy.
In a minute.
Come down. I'll give you the schedule. You pick a day and you come with me. And you kind of get the tone of how you're always uphill climbing. Always uphill
How
climbing.
much time do we have before this will become a reality or go before the Senate?
Well, it'll go before the Senate, probably when we go back, what is it, the 20th, 2 weeks from now, we'll go back and Senator Altoff I'll talk to her and find out. We have about, I think there's like 3 weeks before that you gotta get the bill out of a committee after that. So you're looking about maybe 4 or 5 weeks now. I will ask her to see, you know, what her thought process is, and we'll sit down with Mark Miller also. I can honestly tell you that I have received copies of petition. In fact, I got one handed to me last night when I was walking out the door. Salmon Unlimited. These people understand and they want it.
They have great ideas too. They're gonna improve the fish cleaning station. They were gonna do,
They donated
hatchery.
$25,000 to the state for a new
exactly.
cleaning station
Yeah.
at the marina.
Yeah.
These are kind of things we need to bring together and get them positive. I might as well share with you, there is a group called, boy, I hope I have these initials right. You'll know, FLW, the fishing tournament, the big one.
WFN.
Oh,
There
okay,
you go.
I knew it.
Yes,
Oh,
okay.
See how bad I
open that
am?
door now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Open
we
that
went
door.
fifth in the, we came in fifth in the nation last year on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
they wanna come.
Yeah,
I've been talking to them.
great.
You
Take
know
us to
why?
number one, because
We
did-
promoted it.
We promoted the hell out of it last
Marketed
year.
the hell out of it
Like it
last
was
year.
slice of bread, or was
Yeah.
We
That was
couldn't-
George and I that promoted this thing,
Yeah,
got
we
everybody
couldn't
rolling.
we couldn't get anybody.
How many times you make me
I mean, we sent
Yeah,
emails upon emails upon emails, and it was just guts and
Chris
blood.
Hoover is willing to bring it here.
Great.
The problem is,
We
he
can
wants to
try.
bring it in September. We're not ready in September. I feel that if we can't do a really great job, we'll lose it forever. So we have one opportunity. So my thought process to him is doing it next September. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what this is a fishing tournament with the universities. And the universities all have teams. And they send them to this tournament. It's with the National Guard is one of the promoters of this. And they do a team park. And what they do, it's a 3-day event. They bring a lot of people in here. They fill a lot of hotel rooms. They bring them in and they have this tournament.
You're talking about the GSM, the Jeffrey Morris Memorial, with
No.
Kurt Morris, aren't you?
No.
No, it's a
No,
separate
no,
one?
this is the
Okay.
one that's on that big sporting
WFN?
thing.
Okay.
So
I should have these down at your
Booth Show.
Yeah.
there you go.
so-
No,
so
part
George,
of
they-
yours, you
George,
know, I
they
mean.
have a-
Sure.
They have a tournament in addition to that Ultimate Fishing Town
Oh, okay,
competition.
got it.
Right.
I know they have it by the state. I
And
was-
and they bring them into the high schools, and your high school teams, I think Zion has a high school fishing team.
do.
Yeah, and they participate in this also on one of the other days. So this is huge,
Can I ask you why you think that we wouldn't be ready for it? I mean,
because I gotta find a sponsor for $20,000. Do you have a sponsor anywhere?
Go for that gun.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just saying, buddy.
yeah, the reason I'm saying, because I mean, me and
Could
Chris
you have
are-
multiple sponsors? Could you have like, 4 or
Two.
5? Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay, to raise that 20 grand. Okay.
We feature 20-plus videos on GoFlow.com that I've shot at the marina for fishing in the tournaments and the WFN and everything else. And they're on the TV, they're on YouTube. Anybody that wants to see them can see them on the channel or
Okay.
on YouTube. That was the thing in terms of marketing this and getting this on. I get 25,000 views. I mean, we'll get 1,500 views in a day.
We've noticed that there's an increased interest in the marina specifically for these types of events, so this is one I wasn't aware of. So this is just further saying that there's potential here, there's corporate potential here.
And I'm not knocking that down. I'm trying to promote it.
I know you are.
And I'm
We
trying
all
to.
have to promote
Can
it.
we
Yes.
follow up with your staff in your office here?
Can we what?
Follow up with your staff in your office here to maybe get that going?
Well, right now, let me share with you. Right now, Dave Southard, he's trying to put this together. He's working with them. We have been doing this, and the sad part about it is they never called me until late January. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I just started session, I'm a little stressed, and now I've got to go and try to get this in. So part of this is I pushed it off on Dave. He's a wonderful gentleman, and
He's overworked.
I know.
He needs help.
But you just
I
hit a
know.
problem, and it's communication, and that's what we're trying to do, is
Yeah.
improve communication
You need a
between
committee.
ourselves, because together we can do a lot more than giving somebody an open book here. This scares me. And working together, communicating, great things will happen.
That seems to be the problem, nobody wants to communicate.
Well,
We
you
want to
pe-
communicate, but
I
they.
like all you people. You
not
people
you, I'm
don't
not
seem
talking-
bad.
You're here.
I'm not talking
You're
about
here.
you,
You're
I'm
not
talking
them.
about some of the local stuff, they need to communicate a little closer with us. That'd be a good idea.
Yes, sir.
There are two great
I'll get you next.
There are two great fears in this bill that I see, okay? The first of all, a couple of years ago, 2008, I have to commend you, you put in a bill so that the funds raised at Illinois Beach State Park would come back to us from the state. And the other legislators gutted your bill. You tried, and they just took it away from you. And we love you, we're not so sure about them, okay? That's the first fear, that the state will just take whatever funds they have. And the people downstate may think we are an endless source of funds, but it's not so endless. The other great fear is this last line here. The department may adopt any rules necessary to implement these fees. If the department decides to go after pedestrians, they can. If they decide to add a fee for having a bicycle in the park, they can. They could tax you for your backpack. Okay, that,
And I'm going to try to cure that and take that out.
thank you. Okay.
I mean, I'm going
Yeah.
to ask Senator to take that out. You know, I don't know that the process was thought out that well. I can honestly
Right.
tell you that this was put together rather fast.
Okay.
Maybe that's why we need
And
to have
that's-
these meetings.
Absolutely.
We're viewing this as a contract, and if it's not in the contract, then it's not gonna.
You asked me about the budget, that was taken out of whatever magazine Outdoor Illinois, and that shows you the budget. You know, I would love to be able, I don't know how to communicate to all of you, I know that apparently you have a website they pay attention to, so.
Sorry.
So, no, I'm trying to figure out how we
wanna
can
help
do
you.
this
We want to help you.
on a more positive nature, on how, I mean, if tuning in his website with that little X across my bill is the way to go, then okay.
It worked.
Yes, sir.
We will offer to you, I will offer to you, and I think you'll back me up, that we'll do forums anytime you want to, that we'll put on the web. If you wanna speak to everybody, we'll sit down and we'll have a question and answer thing. If you wanna address people, I'll shoot it, edit it, put it up, no charge.
Okay.
Because we need to get the word out. We
Communication.
need to get our communities informed. We need to get them positive, that there's something better on the horizon. And again, we can, if everybody gets excited about things, if we have the philosophy, the only positive thoughts involved, and get rid of all these negatives, and then charge forward with a vision, we can move mountains.
And I agree, And I'm really kind of glad I have a little army with me now. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to neglect
Well,
you.
last summer, we had two devastating storms that really hit our town, and as I drove through the town, it was like a war zone. I mean, trees, huge trees uprooted, and then since then, our park has been closed. So we've already experienced what it's like not to have Illinois Beach State Park. And I don't know about you, but for me, at least once a week, I drove down there just to look at the water. Because I work in Chicago, I live in Zion, I just love the water. And I missed it. I missed it terribly. During that whole time, my husband and I were willing to volunteer to go help. And I know that there were lots of other people in Zion that missed the park, that would have been willing to go to help clean up the trees and stuff. We were never given an opportunity to do that. I don't know what the status, I've heard the park is gonna reopen.
Tomorrow.
Great, but I don't want that to happen again. So I would be in favor of charging parking fees for the park or however you're going to do it. But I wanna kinda safeguard our park so it's not closed again. When I first read the bill, I felt like, well, surely they're not gonna make people in Zion pay to go see, that's our neighborhood. We feel like that's our land, but it really isn't. It's public land, and somebody has to pay to.
Well, you take ownership because you live so close. And
But how could we get volunteers, like we had,
you
last
used to
week, the
have, you
volunteers
used to have
went and
a
cleaned up.
volunteer up here. There was a group,
There still is, isn't it?
I understand that it's part of the law, and that would might be a very nice amendment to this bill,
Exactly.
that for volunteers are not allowed to do work in the park, it must be union. And it would be wonderful to change that part
It
of the
was
law.
an
Are you-
insurance issue, I was told.
well,
So
let-
write in an auxiliary volunteer force that can help.
Absolutely, you could create it as part of this bill.
there's the liability issue.
Okay.
And going back to the storm that you're addressing, when Senator Schmidt and I did the tour the very next day, we were over there for, I don't know how many hours. We went down the one strip, the first strip, where you have campers on each side. We saw tents destroyed, we saw trees all over the place. And there was this one red kind of, what do you call it, dome type tent. And it was there, and I said, my gosh, how did that escape? You know, it was sitting there so beautifully. We got to the end of the road and there was a tree over it, so we couldn't go the way we wanted to. So we came back and the guy that was driving the truck said, well, look at your tent now. And there was a tree limb that fell down right on top of it. And that was only in the course of maybe 7 minutes. So my thought process was, okay, clear out all the land around the campers and let them come back so we don't lose the revenue for September. So that's what they aimed for, but then they said, you can't put that yellow ribbon everywhere because people love nature. They come there, they camp, they sleep, they cook, and then they go out to look at the beauty. And they go under those yellow lines, and now they're in danger. So that's why that park has been closed for 9 months. Number one, we didn't have the capability of getting it back up, but we were fearful of that, just like that little girl out in Colorado where the tree came down and killed a 9-year-old girl. That's what we were fearful of.
Wasn't there any federal funds at all to help?
Not much. We didn't qualify. And you want to hear a sad one? Harrisburg right now, which is absolutely devastated,
Doesn't qualify.
doesn't qualify.
No FEMA.
And the governor was supposed to go back and do an appeal, and he didn't.
I'm sorry.
It is. It is. I mean,
Yes.
well, that's another whole chapter. So, we didn't qualify. And you know, to Senator Schmidt's great ability, when we were doing that, and they were talking about how devastating it was, she made 2 phone calls, and she got even though she wasn't on the forest preserve anymore, those people came over and spent a good 2 weeks doing the emergency stuff that had to be done right away. I mean, that's when teamwork works.
What do you have to do to be qualified? I mean, we were
Exactly
without
what I was just
electricity
thinking.
for a couple of weeks. Businesses couldn't be open.
Gotta remember, when you get FEMA money, my understanding is that anything that's covered by insurance does not qualify for the total that's needed in the FEMA money request. So if you have homeowners insurance, you're out of it. But if you have a tree that takes out a sewer system, or something like that, that would qualify. So it's that way that those mines work. It's not my way. Yes, ma'am.
I think the only thing I want to point out is Chris put this together in record time, couple days, when,
Somebody's help.
with everybody's help. But I know that when I put it on my social media, that I picked up people that I know that are at the Channel Lakes, and she put it on hers. So I think if we had more time, you would find out that there's a lot more people than just what's in this room that'd be willing to work all the way out to the Channel Lakes for solutions. And I think what we need is time
Well, and I
and a
think
lot more of this.
if you gather your service organizations, the Lions Club, the Rotaries, the Exchange Club, all of them have it already mindset to help, So I think that if we can get Mark Miller up here to sit and listen, we need to establish somehow of getting the volunteers into, and you know what? Now that the money's so short, he's probably gonna be more willing to listen about volunteers. I mean, truly.
FEMA
Or
has
solutions.
Citizens Corps, as chief over
Yeah.
there. With our training in NIMS and National Incident Management System and so on, we have to rely sometime on trained volunteers. But there's a workman's comp issue there, there's other issues where you gotta have them to where they're defraying any
Even though you
legalities
might
and
know
so on.
how to work a saw,
Exactly,
I can't put you on a
Yeah.
saw because the liability's there.
exactly.
Yeah,
So-
so they can waive that.
I
They
mean,
do it all the
somehow,
time.
we
Yeah,
need
they
to
do that
come
all
up
the
with
time for
a,
volunteer
This whole
groups.
community would have turned out
Yeah.
and got that park up and running,
Oh,
and it wouldn't have
yeah.
economically
Protect
shot
the
down the
weeds.
community all summer long. The people that would have turned out, it would have been phenomenal. I would have been there. I know how to run a chainsaw, been doing it for years.
He's an
There's
expert.
people that know.
But you do it
There's a lot of
with
people from our
teams.
churches who have gone in our neighborhoods and
Exactly.
states, and they cut trees
We would've
in
probably
Mississippi, and nobody's worried about liability for them.
We could
Well,
have signed a
churches have
waiver, I think we
liability.
would have signed a waiver. If we
Sure.
get hurt, we're not gonna sue
There's a
them.
way, you gotta find
Yeah,
it.
churches have liability insurance, and so that's why they can do that.
There's always a way, we just have to find it.
If this can be the focal point or the tip of the bayonet, if you will, to take us on to something better and to maybe have some town hall meetings like we had with the school referendum with the school teachers. How many people do we have show up for that? 450 and one?
250.
well, it seemed like 400 or something. But
The room only fit 200.
But I-
Well, there seems like 100 here, isn't there?
but I had 1,000 views on my videos on that, because there was a lot of people that couldn't attend it. And word passed around, and boom, 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 everybody's, so you're informing them. So if we could start to propagate, as she indicated, propagate this information out through the social media, focus it through a central point. Go Flow, ZB Guide, you can do that.
It's just Christianity.
But I think we need to keep in mind whatever we do, that as was said, we do something to make sure it doesn't get closed down again.
Exactly.
Every
Nobody
time it's
wants to
closed
close
down,
down.
it's harder to open it back up.
Has it
You
ever
lose
been-
more
Has it
more
ever been
people.
closed before?
Is that the first thing?
I don't
don't
believe
know.
so, but 8 in the
I've only been here
state,
60 years, I've not seen it, but.
2008,
Some-
Blagojevich
Yeah.
closed 6 parks in the state.
And what's their status now?
They're open again.
Yeah.
But
But we've had
limited.
plane crashes down there, we've had all manner of things.
Change
We've been
railroads,
able to-
everything else.
We've been able to recruit quickly, go in there, clean it up, square it away, and then get back into business.
Because we work together.
Yes, sir.
Exactly, Chief, exactly.
I understand that as far as like the camping sites, that is all controlled online now by a Canadian company that the whole state is turned, is that true?
I have no idea. That's a new one.
My neighbor, we tried to make reservations at the state park 2 years ago for friends that were coming in. She went down there and they told her they could not make her assign a camping spot. They had to go online and do it, that like 90% of the camping spaces at all the state parks in Illinois are now controlled online by a Canadian company.
Well, I have to apologize. I've never heard of that before. I can find out for you.
It almost sounds like leasing out the parking meters.
How long has that
You
been in?
got a cash cow and you're
Couple
leasing it
years?
out?
Really?
I don't know. I will definitely find out for you.
It's like
So I
selling
can't go down there right now.
I know they used to do
Well,
it,
it's closed.
they used to take care of it internally, you know, and everything, and they would do that.
And I've heard a lot of people complain about that.
Well, sure.
You get people coming through that wanna go and camp for 1 or 2 nights, and they can't without, they go online and.
That's not true. You can show up at the gate, and if there's space available, you can get a campsite. You can't make a reservation directly with the individual park. You have to do it through a national online or 800 number.
Are they out of Canada?
I don't know where they're at, but I've done it.
Yeah, they should be
But
here.
if you arrive there and the space is
State
available,
park,
you can
yeah.
check in.
Well,
Much like a hotel, you know, if they've got a space.
But the thing is, those spaces are limited.
Right.
They only have a few of those available.
Well, they have whatever wasn't reserved online.
In my closing, I just wanna say, because I won't talk anymore, I'm gonna let everybody else do it. But JoAnn, I think you've got the greatest constituents, and we've proven it again here today with the respect that we've paid everybody. The way that we discuss this, we have proved that we can discuss and disagree with the utmost respect. So again, I'm just gonna ask you, give us some time where we can meet, where we can communicate, have some dialogue, where we can jointly affect this funding of DNR in a more mutual aspect than what this bill is presenting. That's what I beg of you. And I'm hoping that's not an unfair request.
I don't think it is.
Well, I have one comment. I'd like to back up. I know we're winding up, but I think George hit the nail on the head when he talked about promoting the park. Several years ago, when Country Inn and Suites was looking at coming to Zion, there was a small group of people who opposed the city's efforts to give them TIF funding to allow them to come into town. And one of the reasons was they were worried about the jobs and about Illinois Beach Resort, that it would just take guests away from the resort in a facility that wasn't always full anyway. And the operators of the Country Inn and Suites, Dave Swift, made a statement, I'll never forget this. He said the reason that place is empty is because nobody knows it's there. He said there's a shortage. George,
What I've been saying.
at that time, I believe the number was 13, there's a shortage of 13,000 hotel rooms in Lake County. That the countywide was short about 13,000 rooms. And he pointed out the fact that if you go online anywhere, if I happen to be a fan of Hampton Inns when I travel, so I go to the Hampton Inn website and I want to, my daughter's at Eastern, I want to check into Hampton Inn there, and it's full. They immediately refer me to the next Hampton Inn. First of all, if I'm from out of the area, I don't know this resort is here, and second, there's nothing that brings me to it. So So when I hear George say that there's no improvements for the marina because we're not fully utilizing what we have, but yet we're not promoting what we have, I think it would be a very small investment to make that well known. The other thing that we hear all the time, at least locally, and it may or may not be true, is we have the largest inland marina in the Great Lakes here. How many people know that outside of the people that live here? We don't. We're not promoting what we have. I think that if with enough promotion, we would be overwhelmed with the visitors.
And the World Fishing Network, this year's contest, the nominations open in 2 days, and the voting will start in 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah.
So if we made it in the top 5 last year, and maybe if we can still make it in the top 5 again this year, but I'm gonna tag video after video after video, and every one of them's gonna have other things on it. End of season bash, the GSM tournament, nostalgia days. There's gonna be other information on those videos that will then bring people more than one reason to wanna come here. But to let them know, I mean, when I go to boat shows at McCormick Place, because I contract with Dave and Roger, okay, to do the boat shows with the videography and other things, I run into people that still remember me from 15 years ago when I caught their boat when they were coming in during a storm.
That's when you had more hair, right?
I had more hair, and I was skinnier too. But the point is that once people find us, they fall in love with us. Many move here because they go, this place is gorgeous.
We have one of the best areas, and to see it deteriorate is the reason that, you know, again, I go back and say, this is not an easy bill.
Well, let us help you.
But
Let
we
us
need
help
to
you
work
make it.
together and try to figure out
Yeah.
how we can make it better. So,
Teamwork.
teamwork. Yes, sir. Oh, I thought.
What is the number, if you were gonna operate this park properly, ignoring the marina, to operate the park properly, you'd need how many people and about what budget?
I was told you need at least 15 people.
Okay.
I was told.
And they have 4 or 5 now.
3 now, because Grover
3?
retired on Thursday.
Is that,
Okay.
okay, now we're
Okay.
down to
All right.
3.
And so
There's
15
3 out of
people?
4 out of Chain of Lakes.
Okay, 15 people and about what budget?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I
I'm-
owe
we're
that
talking-
to,
We're talking 10 million, 20 million, 3 million?
I will have, I'll get it and I'll put it on the
Okay.
website.
All right, thank you. So we know what we're working towards.
Sure, absolutely. And I think that's a fair request.
If we were to be selected for the fishing tournament, as a location for the fishing tournament, how would people coming from out of the area know that we have a campground and a hotel here?
There's no
Well,
combined
there's nothing,
media.
there's nothing in place right now.
That's my point.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to advertise it.
Yeah.
I can honestly tell you the place would be full all 3 days. Because part of this $20,000 sponsorship is that you pay for the team that comes and sets this up, their hotel, their expenses for the 3 days. And all of the universities come in and they bring their people, and then their families come along. And Aunt Nellie from over here, because she lives in Wisconsin, comes down, and you know, you gather the group that really understand how exciting this is.
The Salmon Unlimited ones that we've had every year, the GSM, the Jeffrey Morris, that's a Governor's Cup for Kirk Morris' son
Right.
who's killed in Fallujah. We've had, and you probably remember in the old days when we used to have the fish boils it out at the yacht club, and I mean, I'd get hungry
I
just
remember
thinking
being
about it.
tied on the pier out there in Lake Michigan in Waukegan. My dad would go down there and fish, and he'd put ropes around us and tie us to the thing so we wouldn't fall in while we all fished the perch. I remember those things. So, it is a picture.
There's a lot going on down there, and we just need to tell it. We need to tell
Absolutely.
the story and get it out there. And that's what Chris and I plan on doing with North Point Digital and with GoFlow. We're gonna keep shooting in spite of whatever
I feel
anybody else
I
wants
feel
to
so
do.
bad because I didn't realize I had somebody sitting behind me. Do you have anything to say? Because I know you've been very patient.
Yeah, I have, I'm just listening, and I'm also a resident of Zion, and I want the beach to stay open just like everyone else. I go down there and have family come here and visit and call back home to Ohio about the view that they enjoy when they wake up in the morning. I'm not so much in agreement about the fee because, you know, everybody's dollars down and everybody needs a dollar for other things. But if it needs to be done to help to bring that ambience back to that lakefront, you know, then we just gotta do what we gotta do. I mean, and the long range benefit is that everybody in the city of Zion and other neighboring cities get to enjoy the beauty of that lakefront again. Cause I used to run down there along the beach. I mean, I like the beach, and it's a lot of my family members and people that I know here in Zion that want that beachfront restored. And I thank you for taking the time too to come and talk to us. I thank Sherry for inviting me to be here. And it's nice to know that Zion is not totally forgotten about.
No, not in my book. Well, I hate to tell you this, but I have another event I have to be at. I'm over at the Lakes Home Show today, and the person that's holding it probably is beat up by now. She leaves at 12:30, so I need to go over and relieve her. Do you want to sign up a sheet, or are we going to use Chris as the focus? Everybody knows how to get on Chris's.
I love using Chris, let's use him.
Okay. You started this.
Yeah. You did.
All right, we did together.
JoAnn, I'd like to extend an invitation to in a couple of weeks, if you wanna come back on, we'd love to have you back
Sure,
on our show
absolutely.
again and let us know where we're at
Are
with
you
it.
always at 7:15 in the morning?
We can make it earlier
Okay,
if you'd
no.
like, so, if that's too early, it's too
No,
late
no,
for you.
I'm up by that time,
All right.
it's not a
And
problem.
if you can't get anyone to put the Illinois Beach State Park and visit Illinois.com, I'll donate my services to put it on there for you.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, that's gonna be my
That ain't
email
gonna
on
happen,
Monday
but-
morning tomorrow, so.
Thank you for
Well,
taking the
thank all
time to
of
meet
you
with
for
us.
spending the morning here.
Help us help you.
Well, thank you, and I do feel a little bit better. I feel like I have a little bit of an army with me. So,
Well,
thank
we
you
need
so
to get
much.
some of this changed, so we
We're,
can.
we're gonna work on that, and as the amendments come on, and I wanna keep you all informed. So I'm gonna focus this way, so if any of you, or go to my website, well, sometimes I forget to do that, but I'll focus this way.
Don't you build websites and maintain them too, Chris? I mean, you can wait a minute.
I can't, somehow I can't grasp
you,
it
sir.
all.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
thank you all very much, and I hope you have a nice weekend. Tomorrow's supposed to be a good day. We're gonna go all out fishing. I don't know what you do. You're on I am a terrible person on word puzzles.
Keep at it,
Yeah.
you're gonna win one game.
I know.
Word with friends?
Yes, yeah, we do Word with Friends. It's kind of challenging when you have all vowels.
I've heard about that.
Man.
And this guy comes on with a 65 pointer, and I'm going, oh my God. So, it's a good
You
challenge
learn
for
that
me.
once you retire.
Is that?
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Well, we don't want Joanne to retire, so we don't want to know.
Right.
Thank you very much, Sherry. Thank you again, and thank you, Mr. Videographer over there. And I do appreciate the opportunity to be on your show this morning.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Are we still out for coffee at the 10th?
We can do that. Except I have a deposition at 1:00. What time do you want to have coffee?